Hello everyone, it's Junie. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome to Juniper's Tarot and Astrology. I'm here to remind you that you are magical, and you are especially magical to me, and you all mean the world to me. Today, we are going to be looking at JonBenét Ramsey. It's important to remember that all names are suspects that are mentioned on my channel will always be given the presumption of innocence. We have to protect suspects or any names surrounding a case, an active ongoing case. We have to protect their rights in America. So this is JonBenét Ramsey. Her parents reported her missing from the home and had called 911 to say that they found a ransom note on the steps. JonBenét Ramsey was not missing. She was actually in the basement of their home. She was found with multiple wounds and evidence of long-term sexual abuse. This case has many conspiracy theories attached to it. The parents are wealthy, and there's all kinds of speculation surrounding the parents. The people that are surrounding this case, even her little brother, who was about 9 years old at the time. This is the Ramsey home. So JonBenét Ramsey was 6 years old when she was reported missing. The home is in Colorado, and it was on December 26th, so the day after Christmas. The year was 1996. So there wasn't a lot of technology, but it still existed. The rumor is that the person who murdered, possibly sexually assaulted her, there was unknown DNA found on JonBenét Ramsey's, some of her articles of clothing. And there was a weapon to strangle her. It's called a garrote. That was used to strangle her. She had about an 8-inch wound on her head. And there was a ransom note, a 2-page long ransom note. But there was no ransom because JonBenét was found in the basement. There wasn't a kidnapping. So the ransom note is really an odd thing. And she was found, deceased in the basement. So it's really weird that there's a ransom note without an actual kidnapping. This is a very wealthy family, and they rebutted a lot of things with their own personal experts. So when the FBI had, handwriting comparison, the Ramseys went ahead and had their own experts, rebuttal this and debunk a lot of things. They were found guilty of abuse, but then it was dismissed. So this case is a roller coaster ride. Okay, so I'm just coming in and taking a peek at the astrology because a lot of you have asked me to do this. There's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this case. So we're going to look at her natal chart and see if it provides any clues to what happened the night that JonBenét Ramsey was murdered in this horrible way. And there is evidence of long-term sexual abuse, and that her private area sustained an injury prior, and it was healing. And there was some pediatricians that came in and did show evidence of this. Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this case, okay? So I'm just going to try my best to take a peek at it and look at her natal chart and see if it provides any clues. The mother has passed away. She passed away from cancer. Her father is still very active. I mean, he goes to CrimeCon. He's older now. He's an older man. And he still is, an advocate for his daughter. Now, again, I don't want to accuse the parents or accuse any family members. I'm just going to tell you what the astrology says, okay? And we can come to our own conclusions. I'm going to tell you what I see, and then you guys make up, I'm going to tell you what I see. You can pretty much come to your own conclusions about what the astrology is saying. Okay? All right. So the first thing that I look at is her rising sign, her sun sign, her moon sign. And then I look at, her IC line, her DC line, and the MC line. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so the first thing I notice is that she's born on her AC line. If this is her right time of birth, I got it off the internet, and this is what I found. So born at 0 degrees on your rising sign, your AC line. It is a critical degree. It is considered a critical degree. It's a beginning and an end, right? And it's the beginning of a fresh new start after an ending for her kind of karmic identity, right? Because the rising sign is part of your identity and how, the face that you show the world, the face that the world sees. So she's getting energy because she's on a cusp from Mercury and Venus, meaning that Venus, she's going to be a beautiful girl. Mercury, she could, have an airy way about her, airy and earthy. The 0 degree is a young, fresh start. And the fact that she's Gemini, it means she could be twinning someone. And she is twinning someone because her name, well, there's 2 names in her name, but on top of that, she is named after her father. It's the same exact name. So she's the day that she's born, the stars are telling us that she's probably going to have the same name as someone in her family. The dad's name is John Ramsey, and she is named after him, JonBenét. Okay, so 2 names and his name, John Ramsey, JonBenét Ramsey. Okay, so it is interesting that that Gemini does rule children and small children. So the face that she greets the world with is that she will always be a small child. How we look at her is that she'll be forever a small child to us. The other thing I noticed is that I have Eros in the first house as well. And it means that she's going to be found very attractive. Eros is a sexual sign, and for it to be in the first house like that, it can give hints and clues that, well, with Venus, one, that she's attractive. Gemini rules short distance trips, short distance journeys around your neighborhood, in your local neighboring towns, people in her neighborhood, her siblings, her cousins. She's going to be the pretty one, right? And that people might find her, I hate to say this because she's only 6 years old when she passes away, but it's a very sexualized asteroid, Eros. So she's sexualized somehow, okay, the day that she's born. I'm not saying that she was sexually assaulted the day that she was born. I'm just saying her stars are hinting around to that when she starts to grow up, there's going to be something sexualized about her image, about her face. And think about all the images that we have of her with all those glamour shots with her hair and makeup done. It is interesting. So the other thing I noticed is that she has Algol conjunct her rising sign as well. Now, Algol represents female sexual assault. He represents Neptune in the Medusa story, where Neptune got drunk and he went in and brutally raped Medusa, and Medusa ends up getting her head decapitated. So that asteroid on charts is long associated with either alcohol. It's the original word from Algol, the demon, Algol, alcohol. It's a root word of alcohol, because most ancients believe that alcohol allowed you to become possessed by a demon. And it is conjunct her AC line, and that means that it's going to take on how the world sees her as the young, small child who was strangled, okay? Taurus rules the neck, and Algol rules rape, strangulation, being under the influence, someone physically losing their head in public, possibly, something secretive about it because it's showing up in the 12th house. And it does rule sexual assault. It does rule rape, okay? So it is interesting that that's all kind of making an appearance on the first day that she's born. When I look at her moon sign, this is telling me that she's born on a full moon. She might be born on a full moon with an eclipse because her sun is opposed the moon. So that's a full moon. I believe a sturgeon full moon for August. And when people are born on a full moon, it can mean that you're going to know a lot of powerful people. It can also mean that, that you might have a strong intuition. So people born under a full moon with an eclipse can put very powerful people in your path, or that you may come in contact with powerful people. People born under the sign of Cancer are considered moon children, but people born under a full moon are also called moon children. You get certain blessings from the moon, and there is this magnetic pull, just like the moon controls the tides of the ocean. There is this magnetic pull and this attraction to you, which can control your destiny. It can be part of your destiny. There's a couple of other famous people. Actually, Donald Trump is one of them. He was born under a full moon. It can make you have a magnetic, that people are hate to say it, like cult-like, okay, but magnetically attracted to you. And if you think about JonBenét Ramsey, people know her story. And, there is this kind of, this is part of her destiny. People born under a full moon have also been known to go to extremes, which can definitely control the outcome of their destiny as well. It could go, it can be like go big or go home, or there's always this opposition between the sun and the moon. And her on JonBenét Ramsey's, it's Aquarius, so that is some type of a shocking event opposed her home, right? So that's always going to be on her, part of her personality, is there's this inner conflict, this opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun being thyself, your identity, and the moon being your emotions and your mind. So that is interesting that that's showing up on her astrology the day that she's born. If we look at that IC line, her sun is conjunct her IC line. It gives a lot more power to her sun, and that she's very much so, her identity is connected to her family roots. Again, she's named after her father. So her name is connected to her identity. Thyself is the sun, and she is named after her father. It's spelled the same way. It's just got a little hyphen in it, right? It makes it different. Also, Ceres is there, who is the mother of Persephone. And if you know that story about Persephone, she was kidnapped by Pluto. He took her underground and hid her. And, think about it. She was found in the basement underground. So that's a little weird too. It also can mean that the way that she's being raised with Ceres conjunct her sun like that. Just that there could be some type of family dynamics, some type of family inheritance, the way that we raise children, some type of family scandal, maybe something to do with ancestral traits as well, childhood, can make her a little bit naive as well. I mean, think about it. She was a small child, and, she's always going to be known to us as a small child because of that rising sign like that. Either that you're childlike, or that, you're always child. And there's the tragic story of Persephone will always be attached to Ceres, who, there is a kidnapping, and that someone's hidden away. So that shows up in her family home, that she's hidden away in her family home. And it's unfortunate because the astrology is matching up that she was taken down into the basement, sexually assaulted, hit in the head. She had a huge gash in her head that was about 8 inches wide, and she was hidden in the basement and strangled with a garrote, with that tool that, from what I understand, it's brutal. Okay, so Persephone's story ends up pretty positive, but it is interesting that JonBenét is hidden away in her underground, in her own house, in the family home. And Ceres is there, that's got this long connection with Persephone, who was kidnapped and taken and hidden below. And JonBenét was found hidden in her family home. Her astrology tells us right there. And the astrology is also letting us know because the IC line and the MC line is at 11th degree. The 11th degree rules Aquarius, which means something shocking and unexpected happening at the family home. So she's hidden below in the family home. I have a T-square pointing to the sun, affecting thyself. If you see there's that red triangle, that's a T-square. And where the T-square points at is smack dab on her roots, smack dab on her her family, affecting self because it's pointing to the sun. And I have Mars in this T-square, and I have Pluto in this T-square. I mean, how bad can it get, right? She has a huge grand trine on her chart. It's an Earth trine. So, it means that she's grounded. She would be very practical. She'd be a very down-to-earth person growing up, and money would be important to her. Being secure, having financial wealth, is part of her life as well, with that Earth grand trine. And whenever you're born with a grand trine on your chart, it's 120 degrees apart, and the planets give positive feedback to each other, right? There's a overall general good flow of energy between these earth signs. And, with Capricorn being in the 8th house, I'm curious, was there inheritance? I mean, she would probably get a decent inheritance if she lived, if she grew into adulthood, probably from the father, with that Capricorn in the 8th house, because the 8th house does rule other people's money, inheritance, sex, taxes, things like that. And Capricorn is the businessman, and her father is the businessman. So part of this Earth trine of her security and financial wealth is because the father is a businessman, is how I'm looking at that. Okay, I'm going to jump back down to the 4th house and to the 5th house. Mercury is in the 4th house, which means family. So again, there's something with siblings. There could be communication issues with family, or communication, because Mercury is there in Virgo. So she could have had issues with a brother, but, I really don't think that it's... A lot of people are blaming the brother, or have accused the brother of doing something to her. I'm not really sure if I see that. Mercury in Virgo can mean that she had communication issues, possibly with a sibling in the family. And, from what I understand, Burke is autistic. He's awkward. There's something about him that's a little... I have ADD, ADHD, and I am borderline autistic as well. So, I understand that he might seem weird to some people, but I think there is the fact that she's the sun sign, the sun revolved around her. And maybe there's a little bit of jealousy with her. And it could have caused problems with siblings with Mercury in the 4th house. This placement also kind of can be that there was a level of perfectionism in the family home as well, with Mercury and, Virgo there. Virgo can be quite a perfectionist, possibly with her mother in the family home. I think she had a unique relationship with her mother, definitely, but that the mother may have expected a level of perfectionism and may have been hypercritical of her, with Virgo in the 4th house ruling the family home. So the other thing that, if we move on, we go up to, I have another asteroid that I pulled, Nessus. Nessus is a physical attack, and it's in the 5th house, in the sign of Libra. So to me, Nessus is in the 5th house, so that does rule children. So there's a physical attack on a child in her childhood in the sign of Libra. To me, she has a relationship with this person. She knows them. Libra is, well, it could be an enemy, anyone that's not us as well. But usually when you see an attack like this, I think she knew the person who was sexually assaulting her, because Libra is your relationships with others, and then I have Nessus in there, which is a physical attack on a child, and it can, it is the house of sex as well. So I look at that as a physical attack with sex with a child, with someone she knows, because it's Libra. If I go up, I have Juno conjunct Pluto in the house that rules your health, and the 6th house is how you are of service to others, your health, and that is in Scorpio. How bad can it get? And Pluto is there. So, and that's part of that huge T-square, Mars ruling murder, affecting thyself. And then Pluto is, which rules death and some type of transformation with her health. It can mean that, in the 5th house there, that there is some type of secret. And I would probably say that with this secret, with Juno conjunct Pluto, Pluto is about control as well, and a profound transformation in a relationship that she has with someone. Juno usually rules your romantic, partnerships. But this, 5th house rules your health. Pluto rules death, transformation. Scorpio rules death and transformation. And there is a power struggle with Pluto and Juno there. And, again, Pluto is opposed Mars. Mars rules aggression, anger. Mars is in the house of sorrow and endings in Taurus with a neck injury. Opposed Pluto, which is death and transformation, and then Juno is there, which is, some type of love, possibly a relationship. And I know it sounds bizarre, but she was only 6 years old when she passed. So there is a secret here. Scorpio can mean stuff that's hidden. If we go up, we have Black Moon Lilith, who, this also tells us that she is going to be extremely attractive to others. Others are going to find her extremely attractive with Black Moon Lilith on the DC line. That she's going to have a magnetic pull to people. People are going to be attracted to her. And she was a performer. People were seeing her. And I just find that with, her MC line, the North Node rules the head, and we know her as all these photographs. So on top of the MC line, she has her North Node there. Part of her destiny is all those photos of her face, all those, all these glamour shots that we have of her is part of her destiny, which is just creepy. It's just really weird. And the North Node rules the head of the dragon. The South Node is the tail. And her family, being at the South Node down at the bottom there, is part of her karmic destiny, right? Her karmic energy. Oppose that South Node up at the moon can mean that she is very public to others. She's very visible to others. I could say that it's almost a path to fame. And, sometimes people tell you, When an astrologer tells you they see fame on your astrology chart, on your natal chart, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's kind of a curse, because, fame is part of her destiny. With her face, the North Node, her head, something shocking and tragic happening to her, unexpected, and she's going to be very visible to others, and she is going to have a public persona with her moon on the MC. And the moon also rules the mother. The sun and the moon are the eyes of, your natal chart. So, it is just very weird how her public life, her personal life, is going to be intertwined with her reputation, that she is going to be on display, especially her head, because the North Node rules the upper part of your head. It's just crazy. It blows my mind that that's showing up on the day that she's born. Okay, so let's keep going. So moving up to the 8th house, I have it being ruled by Capricorn. The 8th house is where we look at the 6th house, we look at the 8th house, we look at the house of endings for clues to your death. So the 8th house is being ruled by Capricorn, which rules the physical body. It rules hair, it rules skin, it rules your DNA and your skeleton. So there is some type of wound to her body. I have Saturn in there. I have Neptune in there. So that is some type of secret and conspiracy surrounding her death. Neptune also rules pillow talk and doing things that are inappropriate, doing things in the dark, doing things in secret. And it's in the house of death and transformation. And I have Uranus there, which is the planet of shock and, something unexpected happening to her. So, sometimes when you see Capricorn in the 8th house, it can mean that you live a long time. It can mean that you die of possible, old age, or you live past 40, right? Because Capricorn on a crime chart is someone that's usually 39 or older. We're looking at someone that's older, right? But sometimes it can mean that there's something that happens to the physical body, because Capricorn does rule the skeleton. And Neptune there, I wonder if she was given any medication or anything like that. But I don't remember hearing anything like that. Because Neptune does rule pharmaceutical drugs and drugs. It also rules things that are hidden, secrets, lies, all surrounding her death. It's all here. In regards to her physical body. So if I move on to the 12th house of endings, her self-undoing, her self-unfolding, I have Taurus there. So, Taurus on a crime chart, sometimes we look at Taurus as there was some type of give and take, push and pull with her, something, some type of price tag attached to her in some way. Allegedly, okay? I'm not accusing anyone of doing anything. I'm just trying to tell you what the astrology says. Sometimes, Taurus can dehumanize a person to some degree, where they're looked at more as a possession, looked at as a commodity, okay, and a price tag. And it also is in the house that rules Neptune. So again, we're dealing with secrets, delusions, conspiracy theory. And, I have Taurus ruling that, so that she could be looked at like a piece of property. She has Taurus rules the neck, the shoulders, her voice. Now, there was a reported hearing a scream. So I am very curious about that. The family said that they didn't hear a scream, but I believe a neighbor said that they heard a scream about 2:00 in the morning. And, that does also cover her voice. So, and that she's taken underneath, right? So
Neptune is going down under. It's like, Neptune is like, think about going into a submarine and going under the ocean and swimming around, and the whole landscape changes. That's Neptune. So she's taken down under. She is strangled. That's the neck. I have Algol in this house, who is the demon. Could be someone that's got alcohol involved. And, he's the alcoholic demon that rules rape, sexual assault, and someone losing their head, and that a person could sustain a neck injury, or the person that is hurting that person loses their head as well. It's mass hysteria. And it's really hugging her AC line. Who represents her? She was taken by Algol. Her rising sign has a strong presence of Algol on top of it. And we know what happened to her. So, sexual assault, rape, and being strangled with that garrote, that tool to strangle her, which was used with a paintbrush, and strangled her. So, I have Vesta there too. And Vesta, she is a virgin goddess, a Greek virgin goddess, and they were the keeper of the flame, the keeper of the hearth, of the home. And, if she grew up, she'd be very spiritual child. But the fact that, it's showing up in the House of Endings, don't forget that the Vesta the Virgin is also, they were killed for being prostitutes in the Greek mythology. So, there is this undertone of, was she part of some type of something sexual happening to her? I would say that's possible. I would also say that there's definitely something up with the family, and that sexual assault is happening with someone that she knows. I would say that she would know them pretty well, with Libra and Nessus there in the 5th house, with Black Moon Lilith on her DC line. Somebody found her extremely attractive. They were magnetically attracted to her. And, it's just that dark feminine. It's not good, right? That her death is a secret. There's a secret attached to her death. And a conspiracy with Neptune in the 8th house. And I just, it's a very complicated chart. But I do believe that if the family knew about the sexual assault, something was done to probably keep it a secret, allegedly. And if there is family involvement, there was some type of commodity put on her. And with Mars being in that house, it does make me think that there could be rage, that somebody was very angry at her. And they took her under, hidden, with it showing up in the 12th house there. Oh, it's a complicated one.
For sure, it's a complicated one. Let me try to give you a visual. So, 12th house, ending, sorrows, your unconsciousness, your self-undoing, your self-unfolding. I have a head injury. I do believe that she was probably knocked unconscious when she was hit in the head. Going under. It's like, Neptune rules anesthesia. Okay, think about it. Like, you're going under. You're going into a deep sleep, right? Or you go into a submarine and the landscape looks different. Think of that energy for the 12th house, right? Like you're looking, like you have a blindfold on in the 12th house, okay? Things are hidden. And I have the planet of conflict, rage, anger, and head injuries. The planet that is the ram is Mars. And think about, even the bull can build up aggression, Taurus the bull, especially if you're messing with something that belongs to them. So like I said, there is some type of value to something. Either she's the value of something, or there's an argument over a piece of property in that home or something. Or within the siblings, neighbors, cousins. I'm not really sure. I'll be honest with you. This is a difficult one. So think of it. You have Vesta, the virgin, who is the keeper of the flame, the keeper of the home and hearth, the hearth of the home. You'll see Vesta, the virgin, with pictures where she's keeping the eternal flame of the home alive. Okay? So you have the planet of war and conflict conjunct Vesta the Virgin, who is about the eternal flame of a person on her on her natal chart, okay? Conjunct Algol, who is the demon star. So we have conflict, rage, anger, head injury. Vesta the Virgin, the eternal flame, who was also treated, if they did something wrong, they're treated like a prostitute, okay? And they're buried. They're taken under and buried in the ground. And then you have Algol, who rules strangulation. So in her 12th house of endings and sorrows, I have strangulation, someone losing their head, with a head injury of Mars, and Algol is the neck injury, and Taurus rules the neck. He also rules the voice and the larynx. Your ear, there's certain things that he rules. The voice, the neck, the shoulders, that's all Taurus. And she did have a scratch on her shoulder, I believe. She had scratches on her shoulders. So the body parts of Taurus is, mostly the neck, and she was strangled. Now the other thing is Chiron in the 3rd house, which again rules cousins, siblings. It rules people in your local neighborhood, people in neighboring towns. And it's in the sign of Cancer, so that's family, home. And there's a wound that never heals that is opposite to Neptune. So the wound that never heals is opposed, something that is hidden from Neptune in the 8th house of death. Also, there's an opposition to Saturn there. She's got that big red X in the middle of her chart with that huge red T-square. It tells us all the trauma that she went through, okay? So it's telling us that she's going to have a wound that never heals at her home. There's a lot more that I could break down, but I don't want to accuse anyone. I just kind of wanted to tell you what the astrology is saying, okay? I will look at her crime chart, and hopefully the crime chart will give me a little bit more of an answer before I come out and say so-and-so did it. I really don't know if I'm ever going to come out and say so-and-so did it. But, she does have Venus, which can rule a female. It's in the sign of Cancer, so that can be a mother figure. Capricorn can be a father figure. And, they are pretty much so opposite each other. And a wound that never heals in the family home. Something with siblings, possibly something with cousins. 3rd house can even be uncles or people who are like uncle figures. But I would not rule out family. And I'm not just saying the Ramseys, the mom, dad, and Burke. I'm saying people that they know, for sure. I will tell you, I do not think it's some random stranger that did this. This is someone she knew, and this is some type of power struggle with Pluto and Juno. That is someone wanting control that affected her health. a power struggle in dynamics, control, wanted to control a narrative of her health, which, her death, because it's Scorpio. That's a sign of death. Opposite conflict, Mars. The huge red X in the middle says a lot. I mean, she does have this beautiful Earth trine, but on top of this beautiful Earth trine, we have this big red X with these oppositions. And then we have this huge T-square that points to her in the 4th house, which again rules the family home. Also rules mother, the family home and your family heritage. The mother is Cancer. The 4th house is motherhood as well. And, I do have a wound that never heals at the home, or with family, or with siblings, or with cousins, or with someone who's kind of like an uncle figure. And I would say someone was angry. And I would say it's a big secret and a conspiracy theory attached to her death, which it is. Okay, so this is what I have for her so far. It's very interesting that the day that you're born, and just that she was only here for this short amount of time, that the stars tell us this about her story. Even if I didn't know who JonBenét Ramsey was, I could still tell you this about her. Even if she wasn't famous, I could still tell you pretty much so what happened to her, looking at her natal chart on the day that she was born. I find that absolutely fascinating. I will look at the crime chart. The crime chart will probably show me a lot more than what I'm able to see here. But this still does say a lot. So, okay, I'll be in touch soon. Blessed be everyone. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. Again, I am not accusing anyone of doing anything specifically to JonBenét Ramsey. I'm not accusing the father, the mother. I'm just telling you what the astrology says. This has an entertainment value purpose to it. This is my own opinion. Breaking down the astrology doesn't mean that you have to take it as fact, all right? I'm just letting you know what the stars kind of are trying to communicate with us, what may have happened, all right? Blessed be. Bye-bye now.